Do you drive full-time like me for a living? Well, if so, I've got some bad news for you. You're in one of the most unhealthiest professions in the world. So I thought in this episode, let's look at how we as drivers, any drivers, can keep ourselves fit and healthy in a profession that does anything but keeping us fit and healthy. Oh, and taxi drivers, if you've got some great tips to share about how you stay healthy in a job like this, leave them in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. There are more than 18 million taxi drivers in the world, and millions more haulage drivers and millions more delivery drivers. Now, all those types of driving jobs are not the same. I know that delivery drivers, well, that's quite a healthy job. They're getting out and in of the van every 20 minutes, picking up product, walking upstairs and delivering items to customers. But in my job as a taxi driver, we don't get that opportunity to get in and out of the cab so often unless we're helping our customers. Any profession that you're sitting down for more than 6 hours a day is, by the National Health Service, classed as a sedentary profession. Well, I started adding up the hours I was sitting down in this seat every week. For a 5.5-day week, I was sitting down in this seat for 52 hours. That was 52 hours every week. Then, after the NHS had kindly pointed out that my job was sedentary, they then went on to tell me that sitting down for more than 6 hours a day within your profession could be equivalent to smoking 20 cigarettes a day or being clinically obese. It was then I realised I had to do something about this to change my lifestyle and make sure that this job doesn't kill me. I'm 54, and when I started driving full-time, I was around 80 kilos. And after all these years driving, I'm still hovering around the same weight. Let me tell you, if you don't treat your health as a major priority as a taxi driver, then that weight can balloon very quickly. So let's first of all look at probably the most important contributor to bad health when driving full-time. Yeah, you've guessed it. It's your diet. It's very easy to get into some really bad habits when you drive for a living. Convenience and not giving yourself the time to eat the right foods and the pressure to keep working and not see diet as a priority leads to cutting corners and not calories. For instance, when I used to fill up with fuel at the petrol station, I never just ended up buying the fuel. Somewhere between me walking from my vehicle to the cashier, I'd always end up with an item of chocolate in my hand or a bag of crisps. And it was never a healthy option, just something I would consider a treat. After all, I deserved it. I was in a stressful job, one of the most stressful jobs in the world. Buying food when I was out driving nearly always ended up with me choosing the easy option, which was the unhealthy option. Tesco meal deals, prep meatball wraps, nothing but sandwiches, coffees, crisps, snacks, all packed full of sugars and saturated fats. It was after a year of driving when my doctor called me up and he said, "Mark, your blood tests showed that your cholesterol had crept up really quickly and I had to keep an eye on it." After a discussion, I said to him, "What does that mean? Do I have to give up all the foods that I really like? What about my curry night with the lads? I love that." And I always remember he said to me, "Mark, everything in moderation, including moderation." And then I knew exactly what he meant. It's okay to go overboard every now and then, but don't make a habit of it. On my days off, I started to prepare my own healthy lunch boxes for the week. I'm not the greatest cook in the world, but it was pretty easy for me to put together some lunch boxes with vegetables, lean chicken, rice or some fish. Everything was fresh and I could always spice it up if I wanted, because I do like the odd chili here and there. Now, it wasn't long until I realised that every time I was going into the supermarket, I was getting 80% of my shopping from the first 2 aisles of the supermarket, the green aisles. Then all of a sudden I realised, well, I was heading in the right direction. I was eating the most healthiest foods there. Not only that, preparing it myself, I could easily control the amount I was eating. Cutting carbs was a good way for me to keep my weight steady. I was a huge sandwich fan, every day getting those cheap sandwich deals from Tesco's. Well, bread nowadays with all its additives might as well be classed as cake. When the bread goes, the weight goes. And then portion size. That was also something else I could control myself. Now, you imagine the rate we burn calories in this taxi when we're driving. It's not a high calorie burn rate. So portion size is really important. Just by cutting a third off the amount you normally eat, well, you're cutting a third off your calories. And that's the way to keep the weight down. People don't look at snacking as being part of their meal structure. It's like it's invisible, and if I forget I ate it, it won't affect me. Well, no. These are the foods that will undo all the good work you've done preparing those healthy main meals. Eating an apple doesn't negate the chocolate bar you snacked on earlier, because guess what? You still ate that chocolate bar. When I'm driving, I still have the odd snack, but it's something I keep in the taxi just to stem the odd hunger pang. Walnuts are great for this. And if you've got your snack in the cab, it doesn't mean you have to go into a shop and get tempted by those other sugary treats. Create your healthy food environment around you so you don't have to go anywhere else. The next thing I've got to talk about is exercise. Now, I know a lot of you cabbies out there play golf as a hobby, and playing golf does keep you very fit. It's a good 5-mile walk every time you go out and hit that little white ball. It's important that exercise and healthy eating go hand in hand. I remember I was once a delivery driver for a couple of months, and I was in and out of that van every 5-10 minutes delivering product. And at the end of the shift, I never felt tired. I felt energized. I felt healthy. I always felt as if I'd done a workout. However, it's different in this job, driving a taxi. The sedentary nature of this job, the sitting down for over 6 hours a day, tends to make me feel more tired than I would have done if I was running about all day delivering products to people's doors. The biggest problem facing full-time drivers like me when it comes to exercising is the availability of time. When you get home after a 10-hour day, by the time you've had dinner, caught up with any chores you've needed to do, engaged with your family, played with your kids, well, the day's nearly over. And you can forget about going to a gym because that's never going to happen. I've never been a fan of gym memberships, as the whole rigmarole of actually getting to the gym, then paying for the membership and then committing to that membership, well, for me, it was just not worth it and extremely time consuming. Like I said earlier about creating a healthy food environment around you, well, do the same with exercise. Create that gym environment around you. If you have a floor at home and have access to gravity, which I'm sure you do, then you have a gym. There are a myriad of exercises you can execute on a floor, like press-ups, leg raisers, bicycle crunches, plank and bird dog. Yes, I know some of them sound a bit weird. You can look them up on YouTube, but they're exercises that just need a floor. Believe it or not, just raising that heart rate of yours for 20 minutes a day can be extremely beneficial. It doesn't need to involve changing into running gear and going to a gym. A brisk walk when your heart rate quickens can be just as effective. And another thing, always try to give yourself an excuse to get out of that taxi. When I want to grab a coffee at work sometimes, I'll park maybe half a mile away from the Costa or the Starbucks or whatever it is. And then I'll take a brisk walk there and back. So then I know I've done a mile of exercise at work. Give yourself every excuse to get out of the cab and walk around. Take your lunch break in Regent's Park and do a speed walk around the inner circle. Jump out of the cab when you're on the ranks and get moving. All that activity is good for you. And when you're not working on your days off, make a point of choosing to walk when that option is available, and make sure it's a speed walk that gets your heart rate pumping. If you can turn that walk into a short run twice a week, well, that's even better. That's what I've managed to do over the period of a few years, but start slowly. And remember, just putting 20 minutes aside within your working and home environment to exercise every day will drastically change the way you feel every day and have major benefits for your overall health. Being physically active will also improve your brain health, help manage that weight, reduce the risk of disease, strengthen bones and muscles, and improve your ability to do everyday activities. And I promise you that you will feel great. So to recap, create a healthy eating and food environment around your daily life, and also create that gym environment in your own home so you don't have to go anywhere else to exercise. In our jobs, we need to stay healthy in a way that fits in with our lifestyles. That way, we'll be able to keep on driving for longer and keep earning money. This certainly beats being stuck on a chair in a doctor's waiting room and waiting for a diagnosis. And remember what my doctor said to me: everything in moderation, including moderation. Thanks for watching today's episode. Leave any comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, stay tuned.